Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Hello to all you good folks out there at Freedom Talk. Big hi, hello to you guys. Glad you're joining us with all these beautiful angels from John 3:17. Happy that you're here, and I'm glad to be back with you guys. Hope that at least y'all can pretend that you're glad I'm back. Make me feel good. You know, it's good. Been a long day, but we're gonna figure something out worthwhile. I hope. We'll trust that that's going to happen. Driving up, I was kind of thinking about talking about aspects of the self. So let's look at that. Let's see where that goes. And just like always, anytime you got a question or interaction, you raise your hand and ask, and we'll talk about it. That's I really like that, and I'll make sure the folks out there in the ether hear the question and all of that. You know, when I was growing up and coming up, I always kind of knew that I was supposed to take care of myself. I got the message that I should take care of myself and that I'm responsible for myself. And I think that's a real good message. There's a lot of truth in that. And I kind of inherently knew that. My dad was a good dad, and he kind of instilled that into me. So I don't think that was too bad of a message to get. But this is what I missed. This is what they didn't tell me. And I didn't connect to. I was supposed to take care of myself, but no one told me that I could not do that by myself. I'm going to say that again. I knew I was supposed to take care of myself, but no one told me I couldn't do it by myself. And that was a trap that I fell into, and I think I share that with most everybody else. We spend our entire life trying to take care of ourselves by ourselves. Even if it means we're looking for that special other person to either fall in love with or connect and spend our life together, those are all good things too, but if we're not careful, we're looking for that other person, to help me take care of myself. That doesn't always work out very well either. So I got to thinking on the way up here, what should we say or what should we do? If I can't really take care of myself by myself, I have to learn somehow that I take care of myself. I'm still responsible for myself, but I take care of myself. Hopefully that means we're speaking right. There's lights. Lights are appearing. I need to take care of myself with each other. I still have to take care of myself, but I do it with you, not by myself. And I got to thinking about that's kind of seems to me to line up with some of the messages you might find, within the book. If the body of believers, if those people who believe in Jesus, if that's what they name the church, and you look at aspects of the church, now you're going to have to bear with me because you have to maybe forget some of the experiences that you've had with church or church people, but I'm talking about the theory, I'm talking about how it's supposed to be. And that's just the unity of all of us who believe working together to take care of ourselves. It goes together. It's a bit of a paradox. How do I take care of myself but not by myself? Well, it would mean we would kind of meet together. Maybe we would eat together and do things together. Maybe then we would confess to each other what I'm struggling with. Maybe we would bear each other's burdens, not take them on, but share in them. And maybe that process of working together with somebody is the avenue by which I can take care of myself. Does that resonate? Does that make sense? We all try to take care of ourselves, or ourselves, I guess I should say. But if we're trying to do it by ourselves, that can be problematic. It was for me. I couldn't really do that by myself. Most of you know, or a lot of you do, that I coached football for almost 34 years, college level. If you don't hold that against me, but that's what I did. And one of the aspects I think that I got from that, especially when you coach a team sport, you inherently begin to experience that you can't really play a team sport by yourself, especially a sport like football. I mean, there's never any point in time where one person plays the other 11. I mean, it's just impossible. So you have a job, you have a goal, you have an objective. You are supposed to play your position, and you have to take care of your job, but it's with the other 10 people. And if you can do all of that together, then you might advance the ball and win the game. But honestly, it's pretty random. Because what are the odds of getting all 11 of the people on your team to do their job exactly like they should at the same time? It doesn't happen very often. And besides that, you got 11 people on the other side trying to do the same thing, but against you. And then you got that funny little ball that bounces craziest directions. This doesn't happen very often. And that's okay, because if you're with me or following my line of thought, it's really kind of a lot like, that's how life is. I do my job, but I have to do it with people in order to take care, of myself. That's what recovery is. Recovery it's a team. It's a with each other. Sometimes that's the hardest aspect of being in recovery, is learning to work with each other in a way that takes care of myself. It doesn't even sound right. Am I supposed to take care of myself? I thought the reason I was in this predicament in the first place is because I was selfish. The reason I'm here in the first place is because I'm selfish. I was told I was selfish. I don't know. I don't know if I buy that. We've probably all done something that was selfish. But that's not the main issue. In fact, the main issue may be a very underdeveloped idea of caring for self, of how to care for self with each other. Because if you've come up in some kind of church culture, okay, they do a pretty good job of teaching you that self-denial or dying to self, or the way even to be a good Christian, is to devalue that sense of self. Self-deprecating is a word. And so I start thinking that if I think of something for myself, or if I do anything for myself, if I try to take care of myself, I'm being selfish. And so I may turn away from that. I may not even try to do that. I may think someone else is going to come along and do those things for me. That doesn't happen. I'm responsible for taking care of myself. And learning how to do that and learning to move that away from the idea of it being selfish, I think is a key component to recovery. If we were on a deserted island, although that sounds really nice sometimes to me, you too? Amen. Like a deserted island, like completely by yourself? I think I could do that for a little while. Anyway, that's not really my point. If we were on a deserted island, just me and you had a backpack of sandwiches and I didn't have anything, what would you do? You would share. Every one of you would share. Yeah, maybe. And I'm going out on a limb just because that's pretty much in our human nature, in our DNA. I'm going to share with you. You're not selfish. That would be selfish. But taking care of yourself, resting, getting enough to eat, learning how to say no, not taking on more, than I should, doing all of those things that go into what people will say self-care is, that's being responsible, not selfish. But you'll get the message that it's being selfish. And that's what I mean when I'm talking about an underdeveloped sense, of self. I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people come and they tell me, one thing they tell me, they go, I just don't know really who I am. I don't know myself. Maybe you've had a similar thought or a similar idea. What is the self? Now we can get real interesting. Where does the self stay? Where does it live? Where is it housed? What are the boundaries of the self? How do we define it? Is it inside the skin? What about your brain? You know about your brain. What's the difference between your brain and a mind? We have a body. We have a heart. What do we mean by the heart? Well, we can mean that little muscle that pumps blood and does all of that. That's a heart. But we also say and use heart to mean the sum total of our emotions, our love, the way we relate, the way we interact with people. And you will find as if you start looking at these ideas that words, tend to do this. We use words just kind of like we want to, when we want to. They're metaphors. We made them up. They're descriptions. Sometimes they mean different things. You remember that in school? You remember they would have the same word and spell it 3 different ways? And they would call us crazy? That's stupid. Yeah. There, and there, and there, and there. If you think about it, that's nuts. We're going to say that it's going to sound exactly the same, but we're going to spell it different. And so you have to, they didn't tell you this, but this is what it is. You have to learn the context and the use of the word and match it with the spelling. What a waste of time. Make up another word. We're too lazy to make up another word, but that's what we do, and we get stuck in words and metaphors and meanings, and we don't even realize it. I want you to think about this idea of the self. And let's unpack it a little, and y'all help me. Y'all ask a little bit as we go. So if you think, have you heard the 3 parts of a person? It even gets better. What's a person? Good question. What are the three parts of a person? Traditionally, we say, well, we have a body or physical, right? Body. Ooh, I heard that. Soul. Good. What? Mind, body, soul, spirit. Wait, we're over 3. Okay, but we'll keep going. What else? I said one. Heart, emotion. Ooh, personality. There you go. Have you heard, do you know that you can have a personality if you want one? If you don't want one, you don't have to have one. You ever seen those people and they go, they ain't got no personality. So evidently you can have one if you want it, and if you don't want it, you can just shelve it over there. So I guess, is that what that means? I don't know. So we've come up with half a dozen, 7, 8 words, to describe the 3 parts of a person. But for our discussion tonight, let's use it like this. Let's think about the physical, the emotional, and the mental. The physical, the emotional, and the mental. That's what I think are parts. Hang with me, because what am I leaving out, you think? Where's the spiritual? Oh, nicely done, because the spiritual is around all of it. See, my spirituality is not a part of me. It is the whole of me. Because my spirituality informs and directs and commands me physically, emotionally, and mentally. It's all connected. There's some separateness, if you will, between physical, emotional, and mental, but there's connection there too. And the whole thing is wrapped up in this idea of spiritual. Now, side note, just real quickly, someone had mentioned soul. And we hear that word, we see that word in there. The soul, one way to look at the soul is it's synonymous with the self. It's kind of the conscious awareness connected, to that part, that aspect of being human. It's kind of the you, the real essence of you and me. Because the soul is bigger and more than just the body. It's more than just, the heart or the emotions, or the mind. It's a bit of a connection. So, people can talk and have different perspectives about that, and that's fine. It's good. You can look at it this way, you can look at it that way. But a soul, for our discussion tonight, is a bit kind of the same thing as a self. So I would offer for your consideration that self or self-care is very wrapped up, at least in a spiritual process. You with me? Now, what is a spiritual process? Because it would be, part of it would probably be my responsibility to care for myself physically. I don't know if you ever got tired? Physically tired? That's a dumb question, isn't it? Yeah, physically tired. A better question is, are you ever physically rested? When in my practice at the university, when I'm talking to university students, you know what they tell me all the time? I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm like, well, you're doing it right. You're supposed to be tired. You're 20 years old, you're running and gunning, that's what you're supposed to be. What do you do? Don't talk to me about being tired. Okay? Or I say, that ain't getting no better. If you're tired now, join the club. I mean, what do you want? You think there's a not tired life out there somewhere? I don't know who you've been talking to, but there's no such thing. Have you ever really felt rested? Part of taking care of myself is learning how to integrate some type of rest and recreation that's healthy to kind of recuperate. Did you know that my faith tells me that the creator of the universe rested? So he took a whole day, whatever that was. I don't know if it was a day like our day. I don't care. It doesn't make any difference. The seventh day, the creator of the universe rested. That seems significant to me. I believe Jesus Christ was God in person, in flesh. He came, and if you watch his story and you look and read into it, you can find clear evidence that Jesus had to go rest. It says even when the crowds were pressing on him, it was urgent. They needed him. They wanted him to come through, even at that point. The one that I follow, I got to go rest. Go to the other side of the mountain, he would get in the boat, he would push off, he would do whatever, he would go, I don't know where, but it just clearly indicates that the Son of God rested. Now that's anti-American. You don't ever go to school or you don't ever go to a professional training program and get much instruction on resting, relaxation, and recreation. Recreation is how they say it. Do they teach much about that? I never got it. All I got was work, hustle, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, take care of yourself, be responsible. All good messages. Listen to me. It's incomplete. It's incomplete. That's just part of the story, part of the message. Yeah, I got to work. Yes, I got to be responsible. I must be conscientious. Yes, but that's not all of it. And they left that other part out. They didn't teach me how to rest. They just taught me how to work. I work okay. I'm all right at it. Almost comes natural. By now, as old as I am, I'm getting pretty good at resting, too. I told you about coaching football. I got to tell you about growing up in a little old country community in Texas. You couldn't see a house from my house. I mean, it was country. It was way out there. The dirt road, see if you can get this, the dirt road ended at my driveway. That's how country we were. The bus would pull in. You know, I was first on and last off. It was not great, you know, honestly. First on was like 6:45, something like that. Last off 4:30, 4:45. We got out at like 3. It's a wonder I survived. Then I had to feed the cows when I got home because Dad worked in town and I had to get all that done. Anyway, that's not what I was talking about. I've actually forgot what I was talking about. No, that was traumatic. I had a little flashback, you know. We were way out in the country, but I went to this literally a red schoolhouse, 4 rooms, little frame house, Lovejoy Elementary. First and second grade was in a little room. I'm talking about just a little country house now, okay, like a bedroom. First and second grade was in one room. Third and fourth grade was in one room. Fifth and sixth grade was in one room, and had a little eating place in the fourth room. And little grandmothers would come cook our lunch for us. It was very good. It was grandma cooked lunch for us every day. It was really good. Now, this was not your top tier educational institution. But I got more out of Lovejoy Elementary than any other of my schooling experiences. I'll tell you why. Her name was Mrs. Sturgeon. Was her name, almost like the fish, you know. They had a bell that was just a handle and a bell. Ding, ding, ting, ting, ting. So we had 4 recesses a day. Yeah, 4. Can you believe that? That's unheard of now. They don't even give you recess today at the time. I'm sure because there's some danger or something. But we had 4 recesses. I think I figured out that they didn't really want to teach that much. You know? So they would go, here, you can go. I didn't learn very much, not very good at English, only foreign language I ever took. Not very good at, at math. I told you about algebra. I can't do it, but I can play. I learned how to play all through my elementary years. And looking back on it, I'm not so sure that hadn't helped me more than any of that other book learning. Because we had to figure it out and fight and make up and draw teams and do this and do that. And it was just kind of that time. Don't know that we'll ever go back to it, but my point actually is the value that I got from being able to interact and just have fun and play, I think was way more important than a standardized test that I made some kind of illusion of a mark on and moved through the system. And I'm not so sure that didn't help me take care of myself. What do you do to help yourself recreate and relax now that my drug of choice is gone? So if you're like a lot, and if you were like me at one time, that was connected to my rest and relaxation. But it was a bit of an illusion, a mystery. Because it wasn't that it had, if it just falls flat on the first time I used a substance, it would have fallen flat on its face, not worked, and hurt me and ripped my heart out and given me all kinds of negative consequences. I might have gone, no thank you. I got enough of this junk going on in my life. I don't believe I'll add this to you, but it doesn't work that way. It's sneaky, slow, it's liar. It's cunning and baffling and powerful. It sneaks its way in so slowly, it's like that frog sitting in the pot of water, and you don't know, you've heard the story, right? They don't even know, they're cold-blooded, right? Frogs, reptiles. You can put a frog in a pot of water. We're not going to do it, but you can put a frog in a pot of water. You can turn the heat up just a little bit. It'll sit in that water and boil. Because it slowly adjusts its body temperature to the temperature of the water, and it has no concept of get out. You take a frog and you get really hot water, boiling water, you take a frog and you drop it in the water, jumps right out. It's too hot. It knows it. Reflex. Gets out. That's the way our use history was. If it had dropped us straight into the hot boiling water the first time instantly, we might have jumped right out and gone and done something else. But no, we're like frogs in water on slow heat.
Just sucking it out.
Everything seems okay, but then all of a sudden we're boiling. And by that time I can't jump out. My legs don't work. Water's too hot, can't get out. I got to have some help. What do we do to relax, to rest, to recreate? Well, we find that somewhere, somehow inside our group, with each other, doing things with each other, dozens of things. Other ways that you connect to yourself. We talked last week about emotional processing. If you were here, you remember us talking about identifying what we would feel, mad, sad, glad, or scared. Accepting it, feeling it, sharing it. Again, that's with safe people. That's how I take care of myself emotionally. So I have a physical aspect that I'll care for myself. I have an emotional aspect, way that I care for myself. Mentally, it's a word we don't really like to use very often. My mental health. They like to use mental illness. Don't mind using that. A little side note, you know why? Because there's money in mental illness. And there's not any money in mental health. Let's turn people towards mental health. You know, what is it to take care of myself mentally? Should I read my meditation every morning? Does that touch me mentally? Does that connect me? Does it ground me? Yes. Sure. These are ideas and aspects that they've been around a long time. What about meditation? I meditate. I think on certain things. I can't perfectly control my brain to think on certain things all the time. Can you? My brain is crazy. Not like in a real bad way, but I'm talking crazy in the sense that a brain is way too complex and complicated to be manipulated and controlled at that level. I can't control all the thoughts that run through my head. There's no way. And if you try to, you might end up going a bit crazy. Because you can't do that. The best I can do is remind you and instruct you that thoughts are not real. They are just thoughts. And if you're exposed to any kind of external stimulus, you will have thoughts. It's the way your brain works. I would have been executed a long time ago if you got in trouble for thoughts. They're not real. Can they influence your actions? Of course. But thoughts in and of themselves are not real. They don't have to be controlled. I can intentionally think on certain things, which is a way that I care for my mental health. I can meditate, I can sit still, I can listen to music, I can look at art, I can read, I can visit and talk and interact. I can go for a walk, I can sit in the woods myself 5 or 6 hours in a tree and see if one of those deer comes by. But honestly, it don't matter if they come by or not, because I love to do that. So you can see how it kind of bleeds over into my rest and my emotional state, and all these are going to start ending up being connected. But what do you do for your mental health? This is a question I'm just proposing, or I'm asking. Don't get too wrapped up with the thoughts that run in and out of your head. Thoughts are like birds that fly over your head. You can't control birds that fly over your head. They in, out. What I can do is keep a bird from landing on my shoulder and staying there like 3 hours. I can do that. Yeah. It's not the bird that may fly in and land. It's how am I going to organize around that bird? Am I going to be real still and make it right there and just sit right there and hold it and nurture it and ruminate over it and think over and over and over? Don't do that unless it's a good bird. If it's a good bird, okay, but if it's one of them birds that ain't so good, and then don't be unkind to yourself that a bird came through. It's impossible. There are way too many thoughts and things out there that are running through our heads. It's not a problem. It's how am I organized around those thoughts? What do I intentionally expose myself to that might help in that situation? Not completely control it, just help. When you see something good, like good news, which is hard to find, but you see one of those stories, on the news, that's one of those stories that feel good human interest story, and you watch that, and it touches you, and it's heart-wrenching sometimes, but then connected to good parts of humanity, and you see it, and it's all over, and you're half crying, but it's like almost gives you a little hope until the next news story or something. So turn it off as soon as you get those stories. But it makes a difference what I look at and meditate on. There's no doubt about it. But you'll never be able to simply control your thoughts. So don't be unkind to yourself. So I've got mental, I've got emotional, like we talked about last week, and I've got this physical aspect. And I'm offering for your consideration that all of that whole picture, is spiritual. It says that we're created in the image of spirit. I'll say that again. We're created in the image of spirit. Last week we talked about part of that image of God being emotions, right? How the emotions, how the mind or brain connect with that and my physical body, because what I think and what I do with my emotions can come out in my body. You aware of that? It can manifest out into my body. We actually have conditions, physical conditions. We probably need Dr. Jones to help me here in case I mess up. But we have physical conditions that are solely manifestations of emotional processing or the lack thereof. Have you ever heard of an ulcer? People get ulcers. Why do you get an ulcer? This might not be the only way to get an ulcer, but people can get an ulcer because they worry. A mental state a lack of emotional processing. But where does it come out? It comes out in the body. Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, ulcers. Even now, have you seen the commercials on all the skin stuff coming? Boy, there's just like, I guess everybody has that. It's another manifestation, okay, of anxiety and worry. So I'm trying to connect the three, okay, while you hold them with an appropriate degree of separateness. Separately connected, if you will. And my spirituality touches all of it. It's that image that we look at. We are material and non-material at the same time. This material part of me is going to shut down one of these days. It's going to go back to dust. The book says from dust to dust. You know that's a circle, not a straight line, right? It's not dust to dust. It's dust to dust. This body will complete that circle. This spirit, though, this soul will go to real life. I don't know how that works. Don't know what it looks like. Can't prove it to you. Don't care to. It's not supposed to be proven. That's what my faith tells me. I choose to believe in something that I cannot prove. I'm okay with that. That's a spiritual component that brings me peace of mind. I want you to think about it just a little bit. Think about how comfortable it is to not have to know nothing. That's the kind of life that I like to enjoy. No burden of proof. I don't need to really know anything except that I don't know. Because my spirituality is wrapped up in what I believe. Not what I know and not what I can prove. It's what I believe. And all belief is a choice. And it comes from the same process. We may end up at different conclusions, different belief conclusions. They're all out there. They're everywhere. We may all end up at some different conclusion, but can't you see that the process is the same? Can't nobody prove really anything. But you choose to believe. So I'm asking you the question, quietly. What do you believe about yourself? What is it? What is that spiritual component that's connected to the self? And what is it that you believe, about yourself? If you picture with me in your mind's eye, if I had a glass of water in this hand and a glass of water in this hand, and I just held them, and I would go, well, how much what does that glass of water weigh? I don't know, just make something up. 1/2 pound, right? Well, we can all lift and hold 1/2 pound, right? But just keep them, just hold them there. And hold them and hold them and hold them and hold them and hold them. Eventually, it doesn't matter if it's 1/2 pound. I can't even do it with nothing in this arm after I had shoulder surgery. But what begins to happen? If you just hold it out there, eventually your arms cramp up and it feels so heavy, and before long you're so fatigued, so beat, and you just can't hold it. But what if you thought, I had to? I've got to hold it. Now I can only go here. Now I can only go here, but I'm still working at it. I'm still doing it. I've got to hold it. Now it's down to here. My arms are spent. They're completely exhausted. I got nothing left, and they just hang. I'm still holding that water, but they just hang here. I can't even lift them. I can't hold them up out here. What do you believe about yourself, at that point? It may just, the water may not be the issue. It's not the weight of the water. It's the length of time that you've held that idea that is exhausting you. It's that long period of either self-doubt or self-deprecation or being unkind to yourself. It's that long period of time that has got you exhausted. The book gives us instruction. It's very interesting, and I think it's super important. It says to love your neighbor like yourself. If that was written today, it wouldn't be written that way. Wouldn't be written that way. Not in our groups. Would be reversed, I think. I think it might just say, hey, love yourself like you love your neighbor. We've been so conditioned to degrade and downplay ourselves, we don't think too highly of ourselves. Well, if I don't think very highly of myself and I love my neighbor as myself, they ain't getting much. I'll help them if they ask, but most of the time I just mind my own business. If I go by, if I've seen someone, everybody's my neighbor, but if I'm going by, if I see someone that needs help, a lot of the times, not all the times, I see someone that needs help, I can stop and help. But if they're not out there flagging me down, I'm minding my own business. And it's not really about that. The point is connecting how I think and feel about myself and how that then connects to how I treat other people. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think most of you treat other people way better than you treat yourself. I have found that to be fairly consistent. Maybe not 100%, and maybe I did that for a while and I got so fed up and angry with it that I just shut everything down and ignored everybody else and turned completely the other way. That could happen too, but that doesn't happen first. And that doesn't happen in a vacuum. That happens after a long, extended period of holding those ideas that are not really true. Set those glasses of water down. I invite you to come into a safe space, create a safe space to which you can work on yourself with each other. And through the grace of God and the kindness of that indwelling Spirit, we can recover. Amen. We do recover. It's never been about perfection. It's only been about progress. It's only been about shifting from this spot to this spot. It's been about learning how to care for myself by quit trying to improve myself. I take care of myself now by sharing, by connecting, by meditating, by resting, by talking with you. People say, well, how do you do what you do? As if I do anything. People come all day, they sit and they talk. And they talk through tough stuff and they go, how do you do that? And to me, I'm kind of shocked at that question because I don't do much. I just listen. I listen and talk. Maybe the Spirit says something and I'm not even sure what it is, but they say, why or how do you do that? And I usually don't say this to them, but I will to you because I have to. I have to. I can't make it without you. I can't survive. I can't live. I'm a train wreck without you. So, thank you. Thank you for caring enough to ask some old washed-up football coach to come talk to you. You've been kind as always. I appreciate you. If I can help you in any way, give a shout. God bless you. I love you all. Have a good evening. All of that stuff.